Moving on to statistics. The first statistic that Coyne gives, and I went back to check that I am pronouncing the name correctly, by the way. It is Coyne. The first statistic he shows is about belief in evolution. Out of all the countries surveyed, he said the United States is second to last when it comes to believing in evolution. He then says that the U.S. does not believe in evolution, probably because of religiosity. And this is true. Most U.S. citizens deny revolution, probably because of Christian influence. But then he quotes some more statistics designed to show a correlation between belief in evolution and cultural health. It's a bit ambiguous precisely what cultural health is, but the undertone seems to be, and Coyne doesn't come right out and say this, but cultural health seems to mean not being Christian or not being religious, more generally. Well, of course, the more Christian a society is, the least culturally healthy they are going to be if that is how cultural health is defined. That doesn't mean that Christians are intellectually inferior or sociologically immature. And this brings us to what I take to be a main point of his talk. Namely, Christians are stupid and irrational, and religion is the root of all evil. If we can only eradicate religion, that would bring in the grand humanist utopia. When are the superstitious fools, such as Evangelical One, going to wake up and see that science proves a revolution? And of course, he's not really directing me specifically, but just religious people in general. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure what he does with World War II, but moving on. At the beginning of the talk, Coyne gives a good description of induction. In science, we have, quote, assertions for which there is so much evidence that it would be perverse to deny it, unquote. And he thinks that Stephen Jay Gould was the first to say this, but he is not certain. So he may have gotten that from Stephen Jay Gould. That definition of inductive proof or the scientific method. Now, these assertions we call facts, though they aren't known with absolute certitude. This is sound wisdom. It does seem that it is perverse to deny evolution, but it is equally perverse to equate evolution and revolution. Yet Coyne gives us not a single argument to take the leap of faith from evolution to revolution. There's another point in the talk when Coyne admits that he never really believed in God in any serious way. But then he learned about evolution, and so he now knows there is no God. He lost his light faith when he learned about evolution. But this makes absolutely no sense. It is entirely possible that there is a God and that evolution was his method of design. If by evolution he really means revolution, on the other hand, then I can see his point. If atheism is true, then God doesn't exist. But why suppose atheism is true? Perhaps we don't see God as clearly as we would like, but absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Science itself can't prove there is no God. About the only other reason I could think of for establishing atheism would be the problem of evil. But the problem with that is that philosophers of religion, even atheists, even atheistic philosophers of religion, now admit that the problem of evil argument is unsound. Now let's see if there are any reasons to disbelieve in atheism or to believe in God. The first line of evidence, only if there is a God would we find a world. So no God, no world. If there is a God, then he could have created a world. Number 2, only if there is a God would we find morality in that world. No God, no morality. If there is a God, he could be a moral lawgiver. And the third line of evidence, if there is a divine, rational designer, we would find what looks like design in the world. Now, each of these 3 predictions have been confirmed by scientists and all other humans as well. It seems that Mr. Coyne is being perverse if he does not reject atheism. 2 or 3 good reasons to believe in God, and no good reason to suppose he definitely does not exist. At the conclusion of the talk, Richard Dawkins, who was apparently the MC at this speaking event, he comes back on stage, Richard Dawkins. He thanks Jerry for giving a clear and compelling case for evolution. Dawkins finds the case for evolution presented by Coyne clear and compelling, but he already believes in evolution in the first place. He too published a book about the same time as Coyne's on the evidence for evolution. But the case for the existence of God is at least as clear and compelling. I would say it is more clear and more compelling than the case for evolution. At the very least, we can say there is some evidence for a God, and that evolution is irrelevant as a defeater of that said evidence. To conclude, if you think there's a pretty good case for the fact of evolution, that is great. I'll jump on the bandwagon with you. Where do I sign up? However, a scientific case for evolution is by no stretch of the imagination a case for revolution, or atheism, or against the existence of God. I have hopefully made it clear that evolution and revolution are 2 totally different things. Although revolution is based in part on evolution, of course, it is revolution, not religion, which should be eradicated from the land, if you ask me. And we absolutely must make sure that we keep revolution out of our school science classrooms. Okay, well, just to be clear, that concludes what I wanted to say in criticism of the series. But just to avoid misunderstanding, I am not saying that I accept evolution, that I believe that evolution occurred. For example, I don't know if I agree with the common ancestry of all animals. That may be the case, it may not. I do not know. I'm still thinking through that. The jury's still out for me personally. I do hope to come to a firm decision at some point in my life, but I haven't reached it yet. One last point. The quote from Dawkins, where he says that there was, it's possible to doubt evolution as far as being solely caused through natural selection, and be scientifically respectable. That is, I believe, in the introduction to his book, The Greatest Show on Earth. I actually got the book since I started making this series, so I'll find out what that is and give you the page number and kind of an appendix video to this series. Shalom out. Thanks.